So today we're adding decimals. Adding decimals is very, very similar to adding whole numbers, as you guys you'll see in our earlier lessons, as you've seen in our earlier lessons. So first of all, problem of the day: the numbers below are missing their decimal points. Put a decimal point so that the numbers, so that they are ordered from least to greatest. Okay. I'll give you guys some.
Teachers, pardon the interruption, but if you are interested.
So, in order to figure out where the decimals need to be, we kind of need to look at the middle two numbers first, because this number has to be greater than that number, and this number has to be greater than that number, but yet 21 is going to be greater than, right? So in order for 21 to be greater than this number, where does the decimal have to be?
In front of the 1.
In front of the 1 here, right? Okay? So now that we've done that, over here we can put the decimal there also, because now our whole number 1 is less than our whole number 2. Okay? Which means that down here, our decimal has to go in front in order to make it work. Okay? So there you go. That's how it ends up looking. Okay. Now in a previous lesson, we used base 10 blocks, and we used a chart very, very similar to this. One off of the board. What? So now instead of putting our base 10 blocks inside the chart like this, we're just going to use this chart in order to make sure that our decimals are lined up, and we're going to move our numbers. So it says Heddle weighs 85.4 pounds. She's carrying a bucket of water that weighs 7.9 pounds. 7 9/10 pounds. How much does she weigh holding the bucket of water? So what we want to do is we want to take our numbers and put them in based on their place value, so our decimals line up. This is important when we're adding numbers that have a different number of decimal places. Say we were adding like 1 2/10 and 3 35/100. You want to make sure that your tenths are lined up, so when you add them. Now, the rest of the addition, once you've lined up the decimals, it's the same as when you're adding whole numbers. So we bring our decimal straight down, and then we add 4 plus 9 is 13. So we can carry or regroup and bring our ones over every time that we get over 10. So here we have 1, 6, and 7 is 13. And again, regroup. So her weight is 93 3/10 pounds. All right. Pounds is abbreviated LBS, which is what I put up there. So here's another example. It says Pedro is performing an experiment using 63 800 grams of phosphorus. Nadia is using 29 3400 grams of phosphorus. How many grams of phosphorus are they using in all? So we're going to add these together. So you can see here, their decimals are lined up. And if we went like this, so all of the place values are lined up. All right. It's important. This is the tens. This is ones. This is tenths. And this is hundredths. So make sure you line up your decimals, which will line up your place value. All right. 8 plus 4 is 12. Carry our 1. That's 4. We don't have to carry anything. That's 12. Carry our 1. That's 9. So they use 92 and 42 hundredths grams. Grams of phosphorus. Okay? So what's the most important part when we're adding decimals?
That you line them up.
That you line up the what?
Decimals.
Exactly. All right. So this says Malia buys each item shown on the table from a pet store. Find the total amount of money that she spent at the pet store. So she bought all three of these items. Okay? So the first thing we want to do, when we compare decimals, remember we drew a line and we use that line as our decimal? We can do the same thing for this. So this line is now my decimal. Okay? By doing that, it lines up all of my place values. So 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 4 is 14. 10, 11, 12, and 8 is 20. So I regroup my 2. 8, 12, 17. She spent $27.04. So you can see, as long as you have your decimals lined up, this is going to be a very, very easy thing for you guys to do. Most common mistake is not lining up the decimals and having the wrong place values in the wrong spot. All right. Here's your first example from your math book. It says Mr. Jacobson used a digital scale to measure 44.2 milligrams of sodium for a chemistry experiment. During the second experiment, he used 33.1 milligrams of sodium. What is the total amount of sodium that he used? So we're going to find 44 and 2/10 plus 33 and 1/10. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to estimate so we can find out about what should our answer be. Okay, so we're going to round to the nearest whole number, which is 44 plus 33. 44 plus 33 is what, class? 77. Very good. Okay. Then we're going to line up our decimal points. Remember I told you we could just use a straight line? I like to use a line all the way through, just like when we're comparing decimals. The more things that we keep in common with the way we do math, the easier math can be. All right. Now we're going to add the digits in the same place value position. So we're going to start with the tens place, because we always start with the place value that's furthest to the right, which is the smallest place value. So 2 plus 1 is 3. No, 7.
7.
So now we have 77 and 3/10. Right? And we're going to get to there in a second, but think to yourself, is our answer close to our estimate answer? All right? So the total amount of sodium used is 77 and 3/10. Okay? Now compared to the estimate, 77 and 3/10 is about 77. Okay? So I would say that our answer is probably pretty good because it's close to the amount when we estimated. All right? Our next example is 19 and 6/10 plus 4 and 31/100. Now this is where things get tricky. All right? So look at our decimal places and look how many place values are to the right of our decimal. 19 and 6/10 has 1 digit to the right of the decimal, and 4 and 31/100 has 2 digits to the right of the decimal. This is why it's going to be very important to line up your decimals. So first thing we're going to do is our estimate, which 20 plus 4, nearest whole numbers, it's 24. So our answer is going to be somewhere around 24. All right. Now, when we line up our decimals, let's cover that up for right now. Okay, when we line up our decimals, we have 19 and 6/10 and 4 and 31/100. So what we want to do is we want to add zeros where one of the digits doesn't have digits. So behind my little block right here, there's our 0. All right, so we just add a 0 after the 6. It doesn't change the number at all. Okay, remember we can add as many zeros as we want to the end of a number after a decimal. So now we're going to go through and just add like we would normally. So 0 plus 1 is 1. 6 plus 3 is 9. 9 plus 4 is
12. 13.
13, class.
And then 2.
And 2. So we have 20 3 and 91 hundredths. Okay? So we're going to compare the estimate, which is 24, and we're going to say that 23 and 91 hundredths is about 24, so I would say that our answer is probably pretty good, yeah? This class?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, all right. So, for your homework tonight, you're going to, or I should say for your classwork, hopefully you get it done before you leave. You're going to add decimals and you're going to check for reasonableness. All right. So, they've done us a favor. They've already got our decimals lined up here. So we're good. So 2 plus 6 is 8. 3 plus 4 is 7. 6 plus 1 is 7. That line is our decimal. Don't forget, it's a decimal number. So our estimate, we're nearest whole number, 6 and 32 hundredths. So we're going to round to the 6. We look at the 3. The 6 stays the same. Here it is right there. We're going to round the 1. We look at the 4. The 4 is less than 5, so the 1 stays the same, so it's 7. So 6 and 32 hundredths plus 46 hundredths is 7 and 78 hundredths. And 7 and 78 hundredths is about 7. Okay? So that's our reasonableness. Is it close to 7? Yes, it is. We can move on. Alright? Same thing over here. They've already lined up our decimals for us, so we're good. 9 plus 3 is 12. Regroup the 1. 1 plus 8 is 9. We don't have to regroup anything. That's a 0. When we're looking at our estimate now, we're going to round to the whole number, nearest whole number, so the 0 in the 1's place. We look at the 8, the 0 becomes a 1. Over here, we have a 0, so it stays 0. 1 plus 0 is 1. Now our answer is 92 hundredths. Now 92 hundredths is about 1. So we checked it, we did our answer, we found our answer, we checked for reasonableness, everything should be pretty good. Okay? So for your classwork, you're going to do problems 2 through 20. All right. And your answers will be on our YouTube page for you to use. You should have enough time in class hopefully today to finish all this stuff. All right. Don't forget, line up your decimals. If you need digits, as place value holders, use zeros.